Most people will never achieve their greatest goals. They talk themselves out of it, saying things like, I'm too busy, I can't afford it, or even worse, I don't deserve it. And while the I can't afford it scenario is a real roadblock to overcome, the moment you have one hurdle ahead of you, it only becomes easier to create more for yourself. More fictitious roadblocks and hurdles and blockages that make any goal difficult to achieve, and we let it happen to our most important ones. Learning to isolate my real goals from make-believe has become paramount. Like many, I've carried this dangerous habit with me for far too long. The truth is, it's easier than you think. And once you put yourself in foreign and unfamiliar spaces, you tend to realize potential you never thought you had. One of my biggest goals since I was a teenager was to visit Japan, even if it was just for the food and the car culture. I've been lucky enough to go back to Tokyo for a second time, but this time around I had a little bit more time to embrace it on my own. My partner in crime, Zach, unfortunately got a little bit sick on the trip, so I had a few days to myself to just wander, do whatever I wanted, whatever came to mind. I could hop a train and just go wherever I'd like. Traveling with friends is always an incredible experience. And, to share something like that with the people you care about, nothing will ever replace that. But even if it's just one day, to have that moment to breathe and just to explore and get lost on your own, I really push more people to do that. Even though under these circumstances, I obviously felt awful for Zach. I did everything I could, picking him up medicine or grabbing him some food and keeping in touch with him. I did everything I could. But I've always tried to be at least a glass half full kind of person. Being alone in Tokyo for those few days was honestly at first, I was making the best of it. I'd wished Zach was out with me. On the second, third day, it really brought out a part of me that just showed more initiative. What did I want to see? What did I want to do? All right, just got out of Tokyo Tower. That was absolutely amazing. Traveling tends to make you feel so small, and especially going to views like that and seeing different sites like that makes you feel quite introspective. And I'm just very thankful to be thankful and grateful to be able to travel and do these kinds of things. Being on the other side of the planet, left to your own devices, it brings out an unshakable sense of wonder in you, especially once you start to begin to show that sense of initiative. That sense of initiative that at least I've been lacking for a long time. Being lost on my own in districts like Asakusa and Shimokitazawa and Shinjuku, Harajuku, Shibuya, even if they are some of the biggest spots and everyone goes to see them, it was incredible. It was really great. I wouldn't have done it had this situation not arisen. All right, so today was a much slower and easier day for Zach and I. He's not feeling too hot, unfortunately, which absolutely sucks. I never wish upon my worst enemy to get sick in Tokyo, but I'm now heading to Okachimachi, I believe. It seems like a really cool business area district where a lot of the salarymen go to drink, so I'm going there to shoot some film as well as hang out. I hope you guys really enjoy it. Now, let me just have this said. This trip wasn't ritzy or lavish by any stretch of the imagination. We flew standby. Video ain't over. We're stuck in Japan. We stayed in the cheapest hostel we could find in Rie. This isn't something where we just had all this expendable money that we could throw at it. We really had to scrounge and make the best of it and make it all work. Zach and I were both broke going into this trip. We never said it to each other, but I think in the back of both of our minds, we were a little bit like, damn, did we cancel this trip? I'm not a mind reader, but it's like coming out of Christmas and coming out of the holidays and everything like that. And then, you're just starting to get back on your feet. And at the tail end of February being like, all right, let's hop a plane to Japan. Pretty wild to look back on. I know I had to dip into the line of credit. I know I had to spend a little bit of money to get by that I didn't plan on spending, but sometimes you just got to make things work. Flying on standby, cheapest hostel we could find, stuffing our carry-ons with as much camera gear as we possibly could, especially me. It kind of reminded me how I've been stuffing my head with bullshit reasons, turning down opportunities for the past 10 years. It's so easy to get stuck in your head. It's so easy to make up reasons to not go do things. I'd be lying if I straight up said that I had no regrets. No matter how many times I've said that. We all have regrets. I have a million things that I regret not doing. But the things I regret doing, I could probably count in double digits. We all make mistakes, but I think it's really easy to forget that being idle can be one of your biggest mistakes. We think we're being responsible or protecting ourselves, but these times that we idly let pass by, they compound over time. I know this compounding effect has been a source of my anxiety for a long time, which, you know, I'm getting better at it. But regardless, my anxiety is not the topic of this video. My main point of this video is I didn't really know how to make this video about Japan. I didn't vlog enough while I was there. I kind of treated it more like a vacation. Like I did vlog like every day, but it was a little bit like I go out and shoot a bunch of B-roll and then come back and then just tell people what we did. I didn't really shoot anything because it's really common to see all these problems with tourists just like raising havoc over them. You know, it's not without reason that they're having these anti-foreigner and anti-tourist actions going on. You know, when I went there, I just wanted to be as respectful as I possibly could. Make sure that I wasn't being in the way, make sure that I wasn't being disrespectful. And you know what? Having a massive camera rig out there, yeah, you really should be thinking that way. Respect is of utmost importance no matter where you are. You know, like one of the things I keep seeing online is like bringing American culture to Japan, and it's people like vent leaning and stuff like that, and like Shibuya crossing, and it like breaks my head seeing stuff like that. I've allowed that stuff to kind of get in my head and be like, oh, like should we go on this trip? It's so easy for me to still create these reasons. Even while making this video and writing the script, it still gets in my head. I walked out of this trip with a much different perspective than when I went into it. And I think it's really important for people to travel. I think it's really important to experience culture shock and, you know, experience a little bit of homesickness when things are a little bit too crazy or overwhelming. Not necessarily in a bad way. When things become too much, I think it is really important for you to sit down and just think, you know, allow yourself some self-reflection. I've never been so addicted to feeling small, you know, like going on a trip like that, going anywhere in the world, anywhere that'll provide at least a little bit of culture shock, and makes you feel so small, makes you realize how these massive problems in your everyday life, they're not so big. It makes you realize that the problems and the thoughts that you have in your head are way, way, way more insignificant than you think. Be realistic, of course. It's incredibly important to be realistic about your goals and be realistic with yourself about things, but I think it's a really, really great skill to be able to identify that from bullshit. I learned a lot in those few days alone, and I think it's really important for people to just go experience that kind of stuff for themselves. You know, go out and get lost, even if it's in your own town. This video is so out of whack. God damn, this is so different from what I normally make. I'm hoping I could at least alleviate some anxiety for some people, because it's just, I've let so many great opportunities slip away. Yeah, just get out there, do your thing. Don't let that little voice in your head tell you that like what you can and can't do. You guys are the best. Like and subscribe, new videos every second Sunday. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. There'll be more Japan content. I just kind of needed to get that off my chest, bang out this video. And yeah, see you in 2 weeks. Peace.